On this episode of Local Film Talk, we're talking to Pasha Gray about her film, Smoke and Paint. To get this and our other episodes, go to the Local Film Talk YouTube channel and subscribe. And if you want to get the podcast, you can go to iTunes and subscribe to the Local Film Talk podcast. Now let's get started, folks.
I just want to say that if you're getting the podcast from iTunes, don't just get it from iTunes and subscribe on iTunes, which you should do. Rate it. Rate it good.
Rate it and leave a review. Absolutely.
Yes,
we need to start telling people to do that.
Yeah, because that helps the show. If more people see or hear the show, we can get the word out about more of the great films that are happening here in North Carolina. And so, best ways to do it, rate and review on the podcast and iTunes. If you're on YouTube, leave comments. We really do care about what you guys think about the show. We make this for you guys. We want to share all this with you guys. Please leave comments. Let us know what we can do, who maybe hey, it'd be cool if you talked to this person about film, or hey, it'd be really cool if you did this, or whatever. We love discussion. We love comments. It wouldn't hurt.
Longest stinger intro ever.
Eat my ass.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Local Film Talk. This is the show where we talk to local filmmakers about the projects they're working on, hopefully get some tips and tricks you can use on your own projects. I'm Bob Walters.
And I'm Conrad Arnold from Triangle Film Community. And even though I always say I'm from Triangle Film Community, I should point out Bob is also part of Triangle Film Community.
I show up every now and then.
Yeah. Well, anyway, today we're talking with Pasha Gray. She's a new filmmaker out of Durham. She just wrapped up production on her second short film, but today she's talking with us about her first short film that she wrote and edited called Smoke and Paint.
It's a cool chat. These people should enjoy it. I know we enjoyed having it.
Yes. But we have stuff. We have stuff coming up. Long Leaf just passed. As you guys might notice, we can't really talk about Long Leaf because as you're watching this, Bob is no longer existing. He has transcended the earthly plane. And so we had to kind of record this one a week ahead of time.
The Kool-Aid was delicious.
It was awesome.
So what are the upcoming events?
Let's see. Your West End film screening series at the West End Wine Bar in Chapel Hill is
absolutely coming up in the beginning of June. Everybody needs to go ahead and mark their calendars. The West End Wine Bar on Franklin Street in Chapel Hill. Every Wednesday this summer, starting on June 1st. So June 1st, I can't do math beyond that, but June 1st is the first one. The last one will be August 31st. I believe that's 14 whole weeks. And every Wednesday, we're going to be showing a 60-minute block of short films, mostly local short films, probably a couple others from other places. And it's just going to be a great time. Like I said, hopefully a lot of local stuff so we can get the local filmmakers in to talk to do a Q&A, answer your questions, and tell you a little bit about the process of making these films. There's going to be music. There will be drink specials. It's going to be a ton of fun. We're putting it together right now. Hopefully you can go into the show notes and look for the website, the Wix page that I made for the event. And we should be very soon, hopefully by the time this episode comes out, we will actually start having some of our lineups posted so you'll know what's coming up. But that ought to be a lot of fun. Eric Pruitt is the manager over there at the bar. He's the one putting this thing on. If you've ever been to an event organized by Eric Pruitt, it's always a blast, and this should be no exception. So come on out. It's going to be a great time.
Watch some local stuff and get lit.
Yep. Get lit in Chapel Hill. If you can find a parking spot, it will be a great time.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Don't park at the McDonald's, they tow.
Bastards. Okay, let's see. Okay, Tuesday this week, since I'm assuming that we're coming out on Tuesday.
That is the plan. Yep.
Tonight at the Cary Theater is the Rough Cuts review, where filmmakers will bring in stuff that is in progress to screen on the large screen in front of an unbiased audience to get feedback. And it's all moderated by a teacher from man, I wrote it down. I don't have my notes with me, but
a school of some sort.
Yes, a gentleman by the last name of Parkin, who teaches a film class.
He is so unfriending you now.
I know. But anyway, it's going to be cool. This is put together by Connie DeGrazia over at the Cary Theater, and it's just fantastic that they're doing this.
It's a great opportunity. You know, a lot of times it's hard to get great feedback on your film. It's not like you can afford to do a test screening or something, and your friends and family are only going to be so brutally honest with you. So this is a great opportunity to get feedback, figure out what's not working. And, you know, even if your film isn't one of the ones being critiqued, which, by the way, I believe it's first come, first serve. So if you got something, go ahead and submit it now. But if you don't have anything that needs to be worked on, you know, pay it forward. Go out there and be in the audience and help give someone else feedback.
Yep.
You know, you can learn just as much from that, seeing what other people are working on to apply to your own project. Kind of the philosophy of what we're doing here with this show, taking other people's experiences and helping you learn. You can do the same thing yourself in person at this Rough Cuts event.
Yes, I'm planning on attending. It should be cool and interesting. And yeah, you're absolutely right, man. By offering feedback on other people's projects, it really helps you think about your own.
Mm-hmm. And it's all about community and everybody working together, you know, not just being in their own little bubble. So go out there, meet other people, help them with their projects, and, you know, they can do the same with you, and everybody just keeps working together, and the community grows.
Yes. Okay. Well, after Rough Cuts review, 2 days later on the 19th, we're doing our screening of Rob Underhill's Fever Dreams, written by Mr. Al Julian himself.
Mm-hmm.
And
starring a lot of great, awesome local actors.
Yep. Jeff Briggs, the man himself, is in there. Keith Harris is in there. Don Sill.
Don Sill, never heard of the guy. Has he ever been in anything in this area before?
I think he might have been in like a couple of things.
Okay. Right. I think maybe I saw him in the background. Maybe he was an extra in something. I think that's all he's done.
Professional featured extra, Don Sill.
Okay.
Is in this film. and opening the night up will be Christopher G. Moore's Knobgoblins, which has done fantastic on the film festival circuit this past year. So we're pretty excited about being able to bring this to people.
Featuring Christopher Holdsworth, director Jason Buterin in a rare, well, not rare, but in an acting appearance. Usually he's behind the camera. And also newcomer Tom Gore.
Introducing Tom Gore.
I hear this kid is new to the scene, but he's absolutely dynamite.
He's a fresh-faced wonder, you know, and we expect big things.
Absolutely, we expect to have, you know, hopefully he'll be in a second project sometime soon, and we can talk about him again. So yeah, Fever Dreams and Knobgoblins, May 19th at the Cary Theater. What time? 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Absolutely. Go there, guys. Check it out. Should be another great evening. You know, those are both great filmmakers. Rob Underhill and Christopher Moore are very chatty guys, always happy to talk about their projects and share their knowledge with you. So there should be a great Q&A afterwards.
There will be a Q&A.
Knowing Christopher Moore, Nobby will probably attend.
Even better.
And Nobby puts on a great Q&A. And I think that's it for the upcoming events, is it not? So that just leaves us with the ever-present Film Spark.
The ever-present Film Spark.
Which, if you have not submitted to, we definitely encourage you to. If you have submitted, a film that was made in 2014 or later, and maybe have another one. That's going on like almost a 2.5 year period at this point. A lot of you people have probably made multiple films. We will take multiple submissions from a director. So by all means, any short films you've made, hell, we're taking a few features too. We're trying to really mix it up. We got 4 days of programming to fill. We're going to try to do multiple venues, so it's going to be a huge event, and we need lots and lots and lots of films to screen. So please send stuff in. Tell your friends to send stuff in. Unfortunately, at the end of April, the early admission price went up. It went from $10 to $15. But because we love you, I took Conrad out behind the tool shed with a rubber hose. 30 minutes later, he agreed to create you guys a discount password. So go ahead and give him that information, Conrad.
It's I Love Film Spark 2016, and it is good for one more week.
One more week. Is that like some kind of deadline they put on there? They're only good for a couple weeks? Or is that just what you decided?
That's what I decided.
Okay. I don't know how to. Conrad is the one who runs the Film Freeway site for Film Spark, so he tells me something, and I got to ask all sorts of questions because I do not do the technical back end on the Film Spark stuff.
No, I wanted to be fair to the people who submitted early, but I also wanted to be.
You also wanted to make $15.
I also wanted to make $15. I wanted to be cool to everybody who was still submitting, so.
Right.
Hey, submit your film because we'll probably screen it.
Hey, $10, $15, that's still on the really, really low end of what submitting to a film festival costs. So definitely encouraged. If you, like I said, if you have a film or if you know someone who has a film made in 2014 or later, by all means, submit to Film Spark. And we hope to be showing your film in the middle of September this year.
Cool.
So that's it. That's it for the upcoming news, upcoming events we have to plug. Let's get to our conversation with Pasha Gray, young up-and-coming filmmaker. She has submitted her short film Smoke and Paint to the West End Summer Film Series. Can't say yet if it got in or not. We're still in the process of working on that. We encouraged her to submit to Film Spark, so hopefully you'll get to see it there. But it was really cool getting to talk to this young woman about the experience of working on her first short film. She's actually just finished wrapping up production on her second short film, which she actually directed. So hopefully we'll get to have her on sometime to talk about that. But it was just a really cool chat. We think you guys will really enjoy it, and keep an eye out for her work because she seems like she's going places.
Awesome. Let's make it happen.
So without further ado, let's get to that conversation. So Pasha, how long have you been into filmmaking, and how did you get started?
Film, I would say about maybe 6 years, and I got started in Florida. One of my friends was getting his master's at FSU.
Okay.
And he me out to be assistant producer for one of his projects, and that's when I really got back into it. I've been a part of theater since I was 5, but not film, not until I was probably like 20.
Okay. And I noticed this particular film that you sent us. I know you submitted it to the West End film screening. I don't know if you sent it to Film Spark yet. If you haven't, you should.
Okay.
But you actually wrote that one. So when did you discover a love for writing?
I've always been writing since I was probably, I think, middle school. I remember writing. So I've always been writing and writing stories. One time, my cousins and I, during the summer when I come up here in North Carolina, because I'm originally from Florida, we would write like little scripts, and well, mostly for books, but we write little scripts and then we'd have someone like act them out. But yeah, I've always loved writing.
Now, at what point did you learn screenplay format? Because I imagine at that point you're just basically writing stories and acting them out. But at some point, if you want to, if you actually want to hand your story to someone to film, they're going to want it in a particular format. So, when did you discover screenplay format, and was that difficult to translate your ideas to get used to that?
I learned format here in college. It is a bit different because there's just so many elements you have to have in your script. Um, so it was very different. It wasn't hard for me to adjust to, but it was just like just making sure you put, what notes in there as far as what does your character, do they need to walk over to the sink or like things like that. Just the details was a little bit weird for me.
Right. It's a
Like
lot more
breaking down.
practical than a story. When you're writing just like straight out fiction, you're supposed to have metaphors and descriptions and all this stuff. And when you're writing a play or a screenplay, it's like this person does this, then they go over here, then they do that. It's pretty it's more just about what you're going to be able to see on the screen, not a lot of underlying stuff.
Right.
Mhm.
So what drew you in the film from the acting background? Like, what was that catalyst for you?
I mean, this might be corny, but when I was a kid, my parents, I had all the Disney movies, and I'm a huge fan of Tim Burton. So I'd literally watch every Disney film every Sunday, just analyzing and picking apart the films. So I think it started there. I just enjoyed watching films, honestly. From horror films at a young age, I was watching, Tales from the Crypt, Scream, and all those things. Like, I was a huge fan of Neve Campbell, and I really think, like, outside of just watching films every Sunday, in an art class I had, a teacher asked us to draw what we wanted to be, and all the other kids drew teachers and doctors, and I drew Neve Campbell, my best drawing of Neve Campbell, and I just knew, I always known since I was younger that it'd be something she did. So I think that was really the thing that really, like, I don't know, as a kid, I was like in the fourth grade when I drew that. So I
Wow.
just always kind of knew, just didn't know how to do it.
So you mentioned Disney films and Tim Burton movies. You got any particular favorites there?
My favorite Tim Burton would be A Nightmare Before Christmas.
I agree. That's the best. I love
Yes,
Nightmare
it's my
Before
favorite
Christmas.
Tim Burton. Yeah.
And you say Disney, like all Disney, like even the live action ones, or were you focused mostly on the cartoons?
Uh, Mostly the cartoons. For a long time, I was very afraid of Jumanji and Lion King just because of the music and then like the lion and then Mufasa dying. So I was kind of stayed away from those films for a little bit because it just kind of like it gives me anxiety. And I recently watched those movies again and conquered that fear. But I watched everything, the sing-alongs. Like I just watched everything on Sundays. That I just
Okay. Now, where did you go to school? And did you go to school for filmmaking related stuff?
Um, Now I'm here at the Art Institute of Raleigh Durham, so this
Oh.
is, I guess, the closest to film. Um, in high school, I took theater classes. I used to sneak into the broadcasting classroom to learn broadcasting, so I always just kind of try to plug myself in if I heard about something going on, but as far as like studying, it'd be here.
Okay. Do you do much acting?
I haven't done too much. It'd have to be one of those things where I felt the need. I just don't like to do it just to do it. I have to really feel invested into the character and the story because I want to do the script justice. So, I mean, if the right opportunity came, I would do it, but it just has to be right for me to do it.
Okay. So if you have to pick one, in front of the camera, behind the camera, which way do you go?
Behind the camera, naturally.
It's the best place to be.
Yeah.
We all here we love it behind the camera. Getting in front of it, it's a little nerve wracking.
It's terrifying.
Which is why everybody here watching, three people who are terrified of being in front of the camera have an on-camera conversation live on the internet. Yeah,
Yay!
freaky.
Thanks for reminding me that there was a camera.
There's
Um,
only 7.5 billion people potentially watching. It's no big deal.
Okay.
What were you gonna ask?
I was going to ask, were you doing filmmaking before you started Art Institute?
Um, Not on my own, no. It was always assisting on other people's things. I lived in Atlanta briefly, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that really, like being in Atlanta and filmmaking being really huge down there, I was an extra on Las Vegas with Morgan Freeman and Robert De Niro. And that was a fun experience, and I actually got to have a interesting conversation with Morgan Freeman. And so I think like just the little bit of wisdom that I got in those places, and then I did the weigh-in second generation as an extra. So it just like I was just studying everyone behind the scenes from the producers to the cameramen, and just like I was watching everything, and I was like, this is like what I really want to do. So I think that what really pushed me to invest myself into it.
Wow. So what did you find most interesting or most surprising about being on a big Hollywood movie set as compared to, any indie projects that you've been on? Was just the scale of everything kind of amazing? Was there anything in particular that you saw on a professional set that you're like, oh, I've never seen that on an indie set before, but that makes sense?
The budget is quite different. Like
Everybody has assistants. That must be nice.
everything is, well, at least from my perspective, everything's extremely organized. And it was just awesome seeing these people that I've watched since as a kid, on this set, and you're talking with them. Like, I would have never in a million years thought I'd be actually having a conversation with Morgan Freeman. And it was quite embarrassing how the conversation started. They put me in a really cute dress. I looked like Scary Spice, like I had the little knots and stuff. And for me, the dress was like a halter type dress, and I felt like it was like moving down, so I kept like scrunching it up. And I didn't know he had been watching the whole time. He was like, "Hey, stop messing with that dress." And I was like, "What is he talking?" He was looking at me laughing. And so then he gave me wisdom, like, one of my friends, he said one of his friends does Broadway, and her performance was excellent, but the thing that took away from her performance was she kept yanking at her dress. So he was like, if you feel like it's going down, it's not moving at all, just try to play it off and not fiddle with your dress, because it can be distracting from the performance itself. And he said, if it falls down, I'll jump in front of you, no worries. But kind of like, he was like, so don't touch that dress no more. And so actually I did it like another time. He yelled out and everyone was dying laughing, and I was just like, I'm sorry. But it was pretty cool to have that conversation with him, even though in a joking manner, but he gave some wisdom.
Well, it sounds
I
kind
would
of
want
fun.
Morgan Freeman to just like narrate my day, just once. It would just everything would feel so much more epic and important.
Mhm.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great part of it. You were get to hear Morgan Freeman talk, and bonus, he was talking about you.
Pretty cool.
But it sounds like at least on that set, it was, there was some fun and camaraderie, kind of like you have on a good indie set too. People, enjoying themselves and not being too uptight.
Yeah, it was actually really cool being around everyone else. Everyone was just happy to be there and be a part of it. So it wasn't any like, negative energy, anything. At least I didn't feel any. So it was really cool to be on something at that scale, just to see it actually playing out.
Nice. So tell us a little bit about your first short. What was it, and how did it come about?
Smoke and Paint actually started as a totally different story. I wanted to shoot or film this with my cousin. It was supposed to be about a couple who smoked a little bit more than usual, and just their struggles as far as pursuing their dreams. And once I never bothered the script anymore, I was just like, I don't know how to make this interesting. I just kind of had an idea how I want it to be. And then once I got into script writing, we were given the assignment to write the script, and I was like, well, I'll just dip back into Smoke and Paint. And I just changed it to all female cast, because I felt like the story's been told so many times between woman and man. So I wanted to change it to all female cast, and then add in, the robbery scene, or oops, I'm giving away, spoiler alert, add in conflicts. And really the story is dreams. There's a character, Ferg, who is very stern and not really supportive of Naya, the main character's dream. And so Ferg represented my family. Anna, who's the free spirit, the successful artist in the film, represents my dreams, which at the time I was moving to New York City. And so that's really the story in essence, is about me making a choice over staying comfortable or stepping out on faith and following my dreams. So that's really what Smoke and Paint is. And the whole relationship is smoke and mirrors. So smoke and paint. So I just kind of try to play with the title a little bit.
Right. That's interesting because you started describing the original story and I kind of thought that's not what this new one is about at all. So it's interesting to see the evolution of an idea.
Yeah.
Was it a little hard, in the writing process because you would come up with this, one idea? Is it hard to let that morph and change? Are there things that you're attached to and you're having trouble letting go, or was it pretty easy to say, no, that's not working, I'll let that go and do this other thing?
It was hard for me to try to make Naya not have such be more like me. I'm very more of outspoken, so I didn't want Naya to be outspoken because Ferg is more so controlling in that relationship. So it was kind of hard trying to make sense of the script. What would I technically say in a situation like this? Would I push back or would I? So it was kind of hard as far as like the lines. What would these characters say, and defining them and making them separate, like making them their own person. So it was a bit of a challenge, but once I kind of knew their voice, it was easy for me to like write it out.
Okay. Now, as far as the editing process during the scripting phase, I'm guessing you showed it to some people to get some feedback. What was some of the feedback you got, and how did you decide what was helpful feedback and what wasn't helpful feedback?
I got a lot of feedback had their own voice. A lot of the times they were kind of running into each other. Each character almost sounded the same, so I had to really like separate each character, and all of that was positive feedback, which I took in and applied to the script. I didn't really get too much negative, but I just needed some conflict. The story had to evolve quickly in such a short amount of time, so that was really an issue, is trying to make all the conflicts happen so fast. So the way I wrote it in the script, you see there's a lot of triggers that set Naya off to go back and forth. So the triggers helped, evolve that story and the, everything faster. So it wasn't a lot of great feedback. It wasn't anything too bad.
Okay. Out of curiosity, when you're talking about needing to add, a trigger like at the end, some kind of climax, are you referring to the big action conflict at the end?
Anytime that, like when the waitress says, "Oh, what are you drinking?" it triggered her memory to go back to when she was in art gallery with Anna. The lipstick was a trigger because everything that Ferg disliked, Anna liked or promoted her to, told her to be herself, and that was her trying to be herself. For me, it was me trying to be myself, but parents don't look at film realistic, like, oh, there's no jobs in that, go do something like a doctor or nurse or something like that. So for me, it was in the script, Naya's fighting for her to be herself, and so that's what it really was. She's fighting for herself, so anything triggered to set her off. Oh wait, I need to not have my hair more wild. I need to take the red lipstick off. But then there's something else saying, no, express yourself. So those are the triggers all the way through for her.
Now, I guess it's okay to mention it since you kind of did earlier, but like the robbery and the police stuff, was that in the original script, or is that something you added later on for additional conflict?
Additional conflict. It wasn't in the original script. I needed something to happen fast. Actually, the alternate was the robbery would have happened, and I think the cops had the gun and they left it on the ground for evidence, and they had the guys arrested. And when the phone went off and Naya was actually going to make the choice to go to Anna, Mariah commits suicide. And well, Ferg's character, I'm saying the actress name, Ferg's character would have actually committed suicide in front of Naya. That was my other ending, but I changed it so that it wouldn't be.
That's a little dark, yeah.
Actually gonna commit suicide if she didn't make a choice right then, and she made the choice on the phone. She got a text message, and so for Ferg's character, it was okay. Well, you're still talking to her, so
right.
Make the choice.
Well, I noticed that on Smoke and Paint, not only did you write it, but you were also the editor of the film, and the editing of the short actually starts getting into like an experimental kind of thing. There's just all these like real tight close-ups of things, a lot of B-roll that's being used. And I was wondering, how did you get to that point with the edit, and what might have been challenging about that edit?
Well, first of all, the editing was the longest. For me, seeing how I'm still going through school, a lot of things I was learning along the way. Smoking Paint was pretty much I learned along the way. Um, the For the B-roll, I wanted to, well, everything how it starts, how they're both just when they're together, the Naya and Ferg, they're at opposite ends. So I wanted the viewer to see the distance between that relationship. I want it to be awkward for you, like why is everything positioning so weird? And when she's with Anna, everything is very close and intimate, and you can see like I wanted you to see that their relationship is really, at a strain, and she's more in, you know, indulging into Anna. And with the B-roll of the conversation, I wanted you to see the body language. I wanted you to see that Naya was getting frustrated with her because she doesn't show it. I wanted you to see that she's getting agitated with her. And then you see Ferg going from controlling to trying to console her. But really the consoling was more so trying to bribe her into, oh, no, let's just stay and do this. Let's not go do what you want to do. So from editing standpoint, not really sure if I answered the question, but I don't know. I mean, I just kind of wanted everything to be kind of quick as far as the cuts to everything to kind of.
Right. It was a little off-putting. It did make you feel a little disjointed and feel that lack of connection there between them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So writer editor is a unusual combination. Usually, someone who's going to do those two jobs also does the directing. What was the reason behind deciding not to direct it yourself as well?
Because I felt like I was already overly too involved, that I needed to allow someone else's perspective to come in. I had basically did the producing, the writing, and the editing. And so at that point, I was like, well, I need to back off and let someone else do something else. So I allowed Steven. I wanted him to because I really respect, like, his style of directing. And I thought he'd be able to bring out, the girls more than I could because I didn't want to be so hard on them because I already saw it a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to be a little picky. So I just felt that it would be easier for me to let someone else do it than me to be crazy all over that role too.
No, I understand. It's they always say film is a collaborative medium, so you need other people's opinions and visions in there to to really get that going.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned earlier that the the conflict with the police and the robbers was not part of the original story, and that undoubtedly is going to add a ton to the production. You got whole extra characters and action and costumes and props and all that stuff. Was that a difficulty?
No, that part was actually pretty easy.
Oh, cool.
It wasn't hard at all. I had some guys that wanted to be a part of it, so it was easy to grab that in. And it's a quick scene, so it wasn't too much to do.
Well, cool. Well, like I said, I got to check out the film. Obviously, and I really enjoyed it. I'm sure Conrad did too.
Yeah. I was going to ask, what lessons did you learn from Smoking Paint that you were able to apply to the one you just directed?
Well, because Smoking Paint was like a run and gun type thing for me, it was my first time learning how to do all of that. This time I said it ran a lot smoother for Zoe Gray. Zoe Gray ran 10 times smoother just because I kind of already knew what to expect and what to do and what not to do. So as far as like techniques I applied, I mean, for the most part, the thing that I like to do is once the script is written, I like to give it to my actors or my actresses in this case. And then after they go over and they learn it, I like to sit down with them and kind of have like a circle moment where I gather other opinions of how the girls would act or how would you feel like they'd read it. Because I feel like it makes them be able to become the characters way more if I allow their input. So this time I allowed more input as far as the growth of the characters and how they think the characters would read it and things like that.
Okay. That sounds cool. So you're in the middle of editing that one now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Really excited about this one.
When do you think it'll be done?
It should be finished as far as completely edited. I say by September, because there's going to be a lot of special effects for this one, and I'm still learning all of this as well. So I say September should be final.
You're going to do all the special effects yourself?
Yeah, me and help from professors, but yes.
Okay. Cool. So are you editing this on a personal computer, or they have equipment at school you're using?
I'm going to use equipment at school, but I can use my computer, but I'd prefer to use the schools because the hard drives are a lot bigger and can push something like this.
Speaking as somebody who does a lot of editing on his personal computer, I wish I had somebody else with a much nicer computer I could, use their equipment.
Yeah, they got some nice gear over
A lot
there.
slower.
Yeah.
They can run a lot slower on personal computer.
Well, that's awesome. Well, what can you tell us about it? Can you give us a little bit of a hint as to what to expect on that one?
Well, there is some extraterrestrial visit from other being, but it's exciting. It's really exciting. It's totally different. It's sci-fi comedy. I wanted to play with comedy. Because that's not my lane at all. But I think it worked out really well. There is a vibrator, and there
Go on.
there's a vibrator. The thing that which I put it in the synopsis is that Zoe's character, she awakens to a visit, and she kills it with her vibrator, and so she has to figure out how to dispose of this.
Oh, it's a weapon. Now I'm really intrigued. This is sci-fi comedy. I'm enjoying this.
This is going to be big in Japan.
No, this is a cool idea because sci-fi comedy is not something you see a lot of in the indie scene. Because obviously, as you're telling us, sci-fi can require a lot of special effects, which most people can't afford, and then of course, comedy can be so much harder to do than other forms. So to see you tackling two very difficult genres at once, I'm excited to see how this turns out. I'm really rooting for you.
I hope I don't get I hope I get lots of love for it. But I think it's really funny and quirky, and I mean, honestly, the films that I watch were like Juno, Zombieland, so it's kind of in that it's in that lane a little bit more so that way, quirky, hipster, like sorts of films like that, experimental.
Okay.
So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to us. I think we've been going almost a half hour. We don't want to keep you too long. Was there any other questions you had, Conrad?
No, I think I'm good. I'm just excited to see this when it's done.
Yeah. Sci-fi comedy with a dildo attack. I'm looking forward to that.
Technically, vibrator.
Vibrator. My bad. Vibrator. Okay. The internet will call you out on these things. YouTube comments can be brutal. Well, I can definitely say that Smoke and Paint, you submitted that to the West End Summer Film Series, which for those of you that don't know is at the West End Wine Bar in Chapel Hill. They're going to be showing movies every Wednesday this summer, and hopefully they're able to fit that one in there.
Yeah.
And you're always welcome to submit it to FilmSpark as well. That's a festival we do in downtown Raleigh in the middle of September, and we'd love to have that as a submission there.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, I'll send you a link.
Okay, cool, thanks.
So, well, thank you, Pasha, for coming on the show. For those of you out there, go and look for Smoke and Paint now, wherever you can find it, and check it out. And look forward to what's the title of the new one?
Zoe Gray.
Zoe Gray. Look forward to Zoe Gray coming this fall. I certainly am. Hopefully we can get that next year's FilmSpark.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Well, thank you for taking the time to chat with us. Good luck on your projects. Hope to see you again soon.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Take care.
Have a good night, Pasha.